Hey guys, it's Eric with the Miller Park Minute, where we're throwing strikes and getting likes, hitting dingers, and getting listeners. Back again with another episode. Well, it's Monday. We're a week away from any real spring training news. So we're going to get into the news here. But first, let's tell you where to find us. This is your only Brewers Daily Podcast, every day, 5:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Saturdays, live recordings and live chats at 4 o'clock to 4:30, somewhere in that vicinity, so pay attention. You can find us every day: Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Amazon, Google, Castbox, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, all of those places. We're streaming some videos on Twitch here and there, so if you want to catch up on the archive streams on Twitch, and that's Miller Park Minute on Twitch. That being said, we are going to get into today's topics, and I did something a little different, something I don't normally like to do, but I picked a couple articles that kind of peeked out at me. I was reading the Lindy's Sports Baseball 2023 preview that I picked up. There was some good information in there, and that got me thinking about just reading a couple articles and kind of focusing on what we got going on with the Brew Crew this year, and talking a little bit more. I've kind of beat some subjects to death over the last week, so I wanted to start the week with some fresh content for you. So my first one I chose is from Clutch Points. It's called 3 Bold Predictions for the 2023 Brewers Ahead of Spring Training. So everyone's kind of putting out prediction stuff this week, and when there's no news, obviously we get a lot of predictions, and we have a lot of just other discussions, some cool stuff, and we'll kind of go through it one by one. But this first one, they really talk about, obviously they give the history of how we fell short last year and all that. Their first bold prediction is Christian Yelich returns to form, but just not MVP form. Basically, they're saying it's felt like forever since they saw top form since we saw top form from Christian Yelich. Offense has long been the biggest area of improvement for the Brewers. Big part of their struggles can be tied to Christian Yelich looking completely different ball player. They don't expect him to return to MVP form, but if he can get back to a 275 average, 20 plus home runs, 80 plus RBIs, the Brewers will have a massive will feel less bad about the massive extension they handed Yelich a few years ago. I'm going to buy on that one. I will buy this take because I like that. I agree that Yelich is going to start to return. I like that one. I just like it. I think he could be better than that, but that's my personal opinion. This is just me reading their takes. So, Freddy Peralta outpitches Burns and Woodruff. Over the past few seasons, both Burns and Woodruff had filled their part as co-aces for the starting pitching staff for Milwaukee. With Burns coming off of a lights-out performance last season, both options seeing free agency on the horizon. Let's spice it up a bit with the team's best starting pitcher this upcoming season. While only having appeared in 18 games last season, 17 starts due to shoulder injury, Freddy Peralta looked pretty solid, putting in a 4-4 record with a 3.58 ERA. His 2021 campaign, 10-5, 2.827 starts, was the best of his career. He certainly has the tools to replicate that in 2023. Pitchers regularly deal with arm fatigue and lose both velocity and movement on their pitches. So here's an optimistic thinking. Peralta's 2022 campaign was a year built for a stellar 2023 campaign. Won the Brewers desperately need. I'm buying that. I am all in on Peralta. He's one of my favorite players, has been for a while now. I'll give you a list real quick. So it goes like this. Peralta has been my long-term favorite. Devin Williams after Peralta. Then I would go, I guess I buy Christian Yelich stuff. He's not a favorite. It's just he's the MVP and he was the replacement bronze. I bought Christian Yelich stuff. Josh Hader was on there, but obviously Josh Hader left, so we can't talk about that anymore. And then it would go Burns, then probably Willie from there. And then Suter was in there, but he's gone too. So a lot of my favorites always leave. That's always this one I like. Big money extensions handed out. So let's see what they have to say about the big money extensions. Do you know what they're going to say? Money is a very hot topic when talking about the Brewers, and it certainly is a topic that angers a good chunk of the fan base. With owner Mark Antanasio playing the role of tight-pocketed team owner, the front office has limited funding to work with. With GM David Stearns now in an advisor role, Matt Arnold has stepped into the seat. It will be interesting to see how many characteristics Arnold carries over, how many ways he puts a unique stamp on this team. A good first step, making a great impression of this team, is by building the future, which means handing out some well-deserved contract extensions. Wow, who said that before? I don't know. It's been echoed about 15 to 20 times already in the first month of this podcast. With Willie Adames, Burns, Woodruff, Peralta all hitting free agency in 25. Peralta's a free agent? Was this just a 5-year extension? Did they just pay him more? I don't know. Anyways, it was probably set money. This is the time to hand out contract extensions is now. Arnold will do just that. Of these 4 core players, Adames, Burns are likely up first, seeing as how they are the most important to the future success of the Brewers. Ooh, this guy is on my side. Adames probably gets his deal first, as he should command less annual than Burns deserves. But Adames likely has earned a longer deal, 5 years, a long-term deal. For Burns, front-end loaded deal could very interesting pathway Arnold takes in negotiations, keeping long-term money open either for a backload Woodruff Peralta deal or even the first big money extension for Uber prospect Jackson Chourio. Okay, I don't agree with that part. No. Chourio hasn't played a game in the majors. We don't know if he can play in the majors. I think he's still at AA. Again, I don't follow the prospects that well, so tell me if he's at AA. I think he is. I'll look after the video. But whatever path the Brewers front office decides to take regarding the extension of their stars, they need to start the process this year with 4 franchise pillars. Need new deals soon. This is perfect opportunity to rewrite the script of a team that typically lets production heed elsewhere because they don't want to open their pocketbooks. Couldn't have said it any better myself, and I am going to buy that take. So this article is written by Clutch Points by a guy in the name of Mark John Rent. Sorry if I butchered that. He's a Wisconsin sports fan through and through. Suffers through the disappointment on a yearly basis. So this is a fan webpage as well. Then I'm going to go into... I'm going to jump all over here. So we're going over to Brewer Fanatic. Go over to Brewer Fanatic. Join the conversation. Join the webpage. This article is written by our friend Matthew Trueblood, Matthew writes, it's called Why the Devin Williams Airbender is a Screwball and Why That Matters. So basically he goes into talking about the pitch, and it's his primary weapon, used 58% of the time. Oh, there's my lovely mug again. He used his screwball 620 times. They accounted for 58% of his pitches. Among hurlers who compiled 40 innings, did not throw one changeup that often, but only San Diego's right-hander, Nabil Chrismat, even crept over 50% threshold. It's because he has the most dangerous, the most ugly. It has more break, basically, and that's what he's saying. Although the pitches, Williams' pitch is obviously an outlier. Disqualifies him from being a changeup purely because if it moves more than any other changeup in baseball. So basically, he's talking about the movement, and that's why he's saying it's a screwball. So that one, it was just an interesting title. If you want to read more of what he said, BrewsFanatic.com for that one. I won't go too deep into that one because I don't want to spoil that one for you. Then here's another one that we're kind of still in that time where there's still a handful of free agents left. This is actually put up by Reviewing the Brew. And they talk about potential guys that the Brewers could still land. And a lefty is one of those things that's still on the list of, I guess, needs. It's an area of need. We have Alex Claudio, and and Hobie. It's a very opportune that they could make the club, but we could make that competition even more by adding at least one of these 3 free agents. And these are all bullpen moves at this juncture. So do you know the names? I know the names. Not because I read the article. Everybody's been talking about these guys. So number 1 is Andrew Chafin. I'm neutral on all these options. So not only could the Brewers use a pitcher who could be inserted in late innings of games, it wouldn't hurt for them to add a little more left-handed depth as well. Andrew Chafin could easily satisfy both those needs in one signing. 32-year-old Chafin is coming out fresh off a one-year deal with the Detroit Tigers. It was very solid showing for him in 2022. In 64 games, he had 2.83 ERA and a 1.169 whip and a 10.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. So Chafin is a pretty solid option. That's one of them. The next is Michael Fulmer. This has been. I feel like the list of guys that we want is always the same. So that we as fans want, and these journalists, fan writers, websites that we have out here really hit it home with the same names. Fulmer. Yeah, he's just kind of been hanging around out there for a while. So he's a right-handed pitcher. The Brewers don't necessarily need to go with left-handers should they add another reliever to the pen. With that in mind, the next best option would be a bit younger 29-year-old right-hander Michael Fulmer. Fulmer is a former Tiger, which is the team he spent his entire career with before being dealt to Minnesota last year's trade deadline. Unlike Chafin and bullpen, work is a bit of a new thing for the righty. Yeah, I was going to say we were talking about him as a starter. The results have been positive, though. Fulmer, 3.17 ERA over the last 2 seasons, with 115 of his 119 appearances coming in relief. He's also seen the strikeout rate rise from a career 6.9 K per 9 to a 9.5 as a reliever, so that's really good. Just another option. This is just more options. And then there's one more left-handed pitcher, Matt Moore. Just made the second 1-year stint to the Texas Rangers. Matt Moore gives the Brewers another lefty to consider, and he is a pitcher who is even newer to working out of the bullpen than Fulmer. So I don't know how I feel about that. We can convert our own guys to the bullpen. I mean, we still got Ashby and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know if I want guys that we're converting. Yes, we have the pitching lab. I get that, and I've mentioned that 100 times. But I guess I'm going to sell on all of this. I don't think we need to add another pitcher to our... No, we have enough depth going in spring training. Unless there's major injuries all the way across the board, maybe then you sign one of these guys. But and keeping with the theme of pitchers, this is another article by Wisconsin Sports Heroics that talks about 5 under the radar pitching candidates to make the opening day roster. So they're talking about guys with potential to make the opening day roster. Okay. So this first one is really not a choice. If you remember, guys, when we select a player in the Rule 5 draft, so basically the Rule 5 draft allows you to select a player that is not protected on another team's roster. We selected Gus Varland from the Dodgers. He's found success in the minor leagues. But the thing is, you have to keep this player on your roster for the entire season. They have to be on the 26-man roster, I believe. Basically on the team. It's like Wei Cheng Wong that we had a couple years back. They got to be on the roster. If you don't, they go back to their original team. So, I mean, he's going to be there by default. So that's kind of a like, okay, yeah, he's going to be there by default. We can't get rid of him, otherwise we lose him. Abner Uribe, right-handed pitcher. Uribe has not pitched above AA yet as a member of the Brewers 40-man roster. The Brewers elected to add him to the 40-man roster in November in order to protect him from the Rule 5. Oh, yeah, so it's a player not on the 40-man roster. I lied. On the mound, Uribe is a flamethrower who can reach triple digits. Both injuries and control have hampered his progress and development. He showed improved command in the Arizona Fall League. I don't know. That's not a name I've really heard too much of. This next guy, though, is Joel Payamps. Payamps. Struggled with that one all off season. So Payamps was acquired during the 3-team trade with the Athletics and the Braves. Also yielded them William Contreras and Justin Yeager. He has a major league experience in which 4 seasons. He has a 3.35 ERA. In 2022, he pitched 55.2 innings, had a 3.23. Pamps out of minor league options. Ooh, there's another one on that list, along with Tyrone Taylor and Keston Hura. I actually saw a take. I don't know where it was. Maybe it's in one of my articles. It might be in one of my articles. Wait, we'll get there. We'll get there. Oh, my gosh. And then Claudio is another one they mentioned here. Claudio signed a deal. He was given a major league invite. So he has a chance to work onto the team. We know what Claudio has to offer. He was a lefty horse for us. The last one is Thiago Vera. Of the Brewers' non-roster invitees, Vera is an interesting option. He has similar profile to Uribe, throws hard, control has been an issue, and injuries have limited him in areas. Okay, so he's kind of a guy fighting for a shot. He's fighting. We'll see. I mean, Varland's a lock. And I think the only other guy that I really feel is solid there or has a other solid opportunity. If these two are very injured, probably three of the five are very good contenders, but we have so many. We need to do a breakdown. That's our next breakdown episode. That's what we're going to do. We're going to break down the competition in the bullpen. Okay, so then I'm going to take a step away from the Brewers for a minute. We'll come back to them. But there's Major League Baseball, MLB.com posted this an article talking about the rules, and I've talked about the rules over and over again, but I feel for me, I want to get an understanding, and I figured it's good information for you guys as fans. This is an informational podcast. I kind of want to get information out to everybody. So that being said, what are the new rules? Pitch timer. The length of the games will be determined by innings, not minutes, but to create a crisper pace, there will be a new 30-second timer between batters, then a shorter time limit between pitches. The pitchers will be required to begin their motion 15 seconds after receiving the ball, with the bases empty, or 20 seconds after receiving the ball with the runners on. If they don't, they will be charged with an automatic ball. Pitchers will also be limited to 2 disengagements from the mound, i.e. pitcher attempts a pickoff attempts. Disengagements means pickoff attempts. Per plate appearance with a runner on first. The disengagement reset the clock. Batters, meanwhile, must be in the batter's box, alert to the pitcher by an 8-second mark on the clock. Else charged with an automatic strike. Ooh, you're giving me a take here. I like that part. I guess I didn't see the specifics to these rules initially. I kind of went over them in brief. So I like that it evens out. The thing there is that feels a little more complicated. They'll figure it out, though. That's not for me to figure it out. It's just me to kind of have a rough understanding as fans what's going on. The umpires, I should be mic'd up like football. I would hope. I don't know if they've said that, but I hope they do that. To the shift restrictions. The defensive team must have a minimum of 4 players on the infield, with at least 2 infielders completely on either side of second base. These restrictions are intended to increase the batting average on balls in play, allow infielders to better showcase their athleticism with the great defensive plays. The bigger bases, first, second, and third base have expanded from 15 inches on each side to 18 inches on each side, while home plate remains unchanged. The primary reason why bases are bigger is safety, giving fielders and runners more room to operate without colliding. Both slightly decreased distances between bases could help runners on stolen bases and bang plays. So basically that's their option for safety is what they were talking about. This has kind of been the big thing here. So when do they go into effect? They're going to be working with them in spring training, basically giving them time to adjust to all this. And then they're going to start on opening day of 2023. I don't know if you guys saw this, but opening day this year, everybody plays. It's kind of a cool format they got going. There's no like separation, like, hey, we got two teams playing today, and then so that's a really neat thing that they're doing. Will the new rules be used in the World Baseball Classic? No, they will not be used in the tournament. What was the genesis of the new rules? All MLB sought ways to address the issues of games taking longer with reduced action. The league conducted extensive fan research to determine, in essence, the best version of baseball. I didn't receive any surveys on this, so I'm out on this one. We've been asking hundreds and thousands through surveys. I didn't get a survey. Did you get a survey? Let me know if you got a survey. I really, really want to know if you got a survey about this. I think they were trying to speed the pace of play up to get new fans. That's been the guise of this. So don't let them fool you with what they're saying here. The consensus was action. Everybody wants more action. Why is MLB confident these changes will help? Oh my god, this is like talking points. Like they're trying to sell this. Oh god, I love it. I mean, they've changed the game so much. So let's just leave it be. Because all of these changes were tested in more than 8,000 games at the minor league levels, extensively in independent Atlantic League before their adoption in the big league levels. Oh my god. What were the results of these experiments? In 2022, 9 inning minor league games using the pitch timer were on average 25 minutes shorter than 2021 games did not have their pitch timer, from 3 hours and 3 minutes to 2 hours and 38 minutes. Woo! If you're complaining about the length of a baseball game, you're not a baseball fan. Sorry, not sorry. NFL games are 3.5 hours, 4 hours. Stolen base activity increased 2.23 attempts per game to 2.81. The stolen base success rate improved from 68% to 78%. The defensive shifts limits contributed to an increase in batting average across minor leagues from 247 to 249. Let's take a deeper dive. Oh, geez, we got a deep dive. They're basically saying the clock is to reduce dead time. They got a little quote from Matt Carpenter saying he didn't like it at first, but now he likes it. Spending a lot of time in the minors in 2022. Oh, this is comical. I'm sorry. This article is pure comedy. Why does the pitch timer increase? Because increased stolen bases. Because the mound disengagements limits placed on pitchers. Well, that's stupid. I feel like that's a big change. Okay. What happens if the pitcher steps off a third time? If he steps off or attempts to pick off a third time, is treated as a balk. The runner or runners automatically advance. Put another way, if the third pickoff attempt is successful, it is not treated as a balk. What? Okay, that's a weird one. Does the batter have any timeouts? Yes, 1 per plate appearance. Otherwise, the batter must be in the batter's box, alert to the pitcher within at least 8 seconds remaining of the timer. Well, if the pitch timer reaches 0 as the pitcher is in motion, is he charged with the ball? No, as the pitcher begins his motion prior to the expiration of the pitch time. Okay, so if he's in motion, they're not going to call him. They're not going to give an automatic ball. Okay. This is a really long article. I did not realize this. We'll revisit this. We'll come back. Let's just finish it. Let's get through it. What about the mound visits or injuries? Do those count as disengagements? No, mound visits, injury timeouts, offensive team timeouts do not count as disengagements? Do teams still have the same number of mound visits available per game? They still have 5. However, an added wrinkle in the result of the pitch clock is that the team has used up all 5 allotted mound visits prior to the 9th inning. It receives an additional mound visit in the 9th. This effectively serves as an additional disengagement. Can anything else stop the clock? The umpires may provide extra time if warranted by special circumstances. For example, if the catcher were to be thrown out on the bases at the conclusion of 1/2 inning, he would be given extra time. Okay, so that's good to know. Basically, umpires can use their best judgment to determine if the timer needs to be paused. How common will pitch timer violations be? If the adjustments in the major leagues plays out similar to the minor leagues, there will be many more violations early in the season than later. And we talked about that in the last episode where we talked about the rules with David Go. Shift restrictions. What is the purpose of the defensive shift restrictions? To improve the likelihood of balls in play, more traditional outcomes, to showcase the athleticism and range of the defenders. As a frame of reference, thanks in part to the prevalence of extreme defensive shifts, the MLB wide batting average on balls in play was 290, 7 points lower than decades earlier. Can infielders switch sides? No. So if the shortstop is the team's best defender, he cannot switch spots with the second baseman against the batter, likely to hit the ball that side of second base. Can the outfielder play in the infield or as a fifth defender? Yes. A team can take a bigger risk of the batter hitting the ball one way. What? So they can still do that? I mean, those are rare case scenarios, but still, that seems weird if you're limiting the shift. But what is the penalty for failure to comply with the shift shift restrictions? An automatic ball. Are shift restrictions subject to replay review? Yes, they are. Simple answer. Yes, they are. I like that. Can't an infielder circumvent the rule by running across second base or into outfield when the pitch is released? No, in addition to being physically difficult, such circumvention will be monitored by the umpires for violation, resulting in an automatic ball. Okay. What is the purpose of the bigger bases? Primarily safety. We know all this. I mean, I'm not going to go through that. In the minor leagues, it did prevent some injuries. How the bigger bases change the distance. It's reduced by 4.5. So that's one last thing. What about the so-called robot umps? This is the one I don't like. Experiments with automatic ball and strike systems and ball strike challenge system will continue in the minors in 2023, but the system is not in place in the major league level. There's no current timetable to when it could be added to MLB games. Okay, so that's good news. We'll take that. I'm going to take a lot of this as positive. I know I don't like the rule changes. I think the game was fine the way it was. It wasn't broken. Don't fix it. If, like I said before, if you want a game to be a half an hour less, then you don't care about baseball. That's just how I feel. I mean, you're not a baseball fan if you're not watching over half an hour. People come in and out of baseball games all the time. I mean, if you ever been to a game, sometimes people will be sitting there for the first few innings, walk away, come back. I mean, come on. It's part of baseball. Not everybody sits all the way through. I mean, I'll sit here and have a baseball game on, and I'll be listening but I won't be watching. You know what I mean? That's just part of the game. But I have all 162 games on in some capacity, whether I'm listening to Euchre or whether I got the TV on in here, TV downstairs, wherever, outside. A lot of them outside because Sundays and summer outside baseball is what I do. Okay, so this is just a little brief. I'm going to give you this like maybe 5 minutes. I don't even know. There is a 2023 all underrated team that MLB put together. And the only reason we have one player on this, no all-star appearances, no baseball writers awards, MVP, Cy Young's Rookie of the Years, no all MLB honors, no inclusion on MLB's top 10 right now list, no 9-figure contracts, and at least 2 years of MLB service time. So I'm going to run through this list. Eric Haas, catcher for the Tigers. Ryan Mountcastle of the Orioles. Second base is Thairo Estrada of the Giants. Shortstop Ahmed Rosario of the Guardians. Ryan McMahon of the Rockies at third. Center fielder Tyrone Taylor of the Brewers. And the reason why I said this is because Tyrone Taylor is on the outs. So he's on the underrated list, meaning basically if he shows, he's going to be something. But like I've talked about and discussed in the outfield video, I discussed in a lot of videos so far, he's kind of on the outside looking in. He's got to really show something to be on this Brewers club and to be contributing in a meaningful fashion in 2023. That's just my thoughts. So, yeah. Center fielder Tyrone Taylor, right fielder Anthony Santander of the Orioles, Logan Webb of the Giants, Scott Barlow of the Royals, and that's the all underrated team for 2023. We talked about the 3 bold moves. We talked about the all underrated team. I think that covers it for today, guys. I think that's all we got. I'm gonna do a little bit more of this, but this is just kind of the preview, the initial page. So I'll give you this. The Brewers are projected, according to this magazine. Now, this was written before they added Wade Miley, so I don't know if what kind of win percentage or what kind of thing that makes a difference. They are projected to be second, according to this magazine, in the NL Central. And they're using, they're looking at 5-year winning percentage, 531 for 2022, 586 for 2021. 2020 was a 483. 2019 was 450 or 449, and 2018 was a 589. So, and it's cool because this actually sources the payroll of 130 million. Attendance last year of ranking 14th, 2.4 million basically. And it talks about a lot of things here. We're going to cover, like I said, more in depth later this week. I've gotten through it, but I also want to read the comps and what they have to say, so I have frame of reference to the other teams. Specifically the Cardinals, the Cubs. I want to see what they say about those two teams, and kind of also their thoughts on how the schedule changes this whole thing. So these have just been my takes on a couple articles I read today. Like I said, I'm going to spend a little more time on the articles, just in this ramping up time, so we can talk about game action, how players are looking, just different aspects, guys. So we're going to talk some WBC baseball this week. We're working on the content for that. Our key researcher, the Butcher, has been doing a great job with his content and doing a lot of research. So we're gonna we're going to get into that more. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here and listening. If you got a chance and you want to support the content that we're doing, subscribe, leave a rating. We really appreciate it. We put some work into this to try and be informative to you guys and have fun talking baseball on a daily basis. And my contacts are really dry. So if you see me blinking for the last couple 15, 20 minutes, that's why. So that being said, guys, subscribe, leave some feedback down below in the comments. What do you think on these takes? Do we buy? Do we sell on these? Or, are you in? Are you out? What do you feel on Tyrone Taylor? Let me know. I'm curious. We'll come back later this week. Tomorrow. Tomorrow's episode is Butcher. So I'll be back. I'll see you soon. We're working on lots of good stuff. So thank you guys for watching. As always, go Brewers. This is your only Daily Brewers podcast. My name is Eric Agnew. You have a great rest of your night. Thank you. Day or night, whenever you're watching.
Thank you for watching the Miller Park Minute. Go Brewers.